recording, and we go.
And we are a go for making Mexican hot chocolate shortbread cookies.
So I'm at church. And
I measured everything out, so I will just hold up and say what they are as I go through. The ingredients are 1 3/4 cups of unbleached flour. And this is just, I've done this with gluten-free, I've done this with really fine cake flour when I want to make them fancy. But the flour and, oh yeah, if you got questions, send it in a message to Sean and he'll ask me. We don't send it in a bottle. And then there's a 1/2 cup of almond flour. Now, if I'm making them fancy, I use the really fine stuff. I don't know if you can see that this is really super fine. They can get coarse, but I find that the fine one works better. And you just sort of blend those together a little bit so that they don't look separate. And normally I do this in my big KitchenAid mixer, so it took me a while yesterday when I had to do it. 240 grams of butter. Oops. I'm getting better and better at that every time. Yep. $240 grams of butter, almond extract. This is a 1/2 teaspoon. And vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon. And then this is the worst part, cream. And it doesn't like to cream. This is why I really wish I had hauled my KitchenAid mixer in here.
You got a KitchenAid mixer in the cupboard, haven't you? I've seen that. You've got a KitchenAid mixer in the cupboard, isn't it? Oh, that's fine. Oh, you can use it.
I could have used the wine.
Let me ask this question if I can find it.
Somebody asked a question.
There's a question. I don't know what it is. Depth perception in this thing is very bad. Where did you extract the vanilla from?
A vanilla bean.
Vanilla bean.
I actually make my own vanilla extract by putting 3 or 4 beans in with really, really pure organic vodka. I always do this when we arrive at a place. So it's been standing now for 2 years as of tomorrow, and it's really good. It's one of those local traditions that we have. All right, so it's creamed a little bit better than it was. It should be really super smooth, but I'm not that patient. And it's making my wrist hurt. Okay. In the meantime, I have turned on the oven to 175 degrees Celsius. And I've lined cookie sheets with parchment, or I use a silicone baking pad instead of parchment. So those things have already happened while I was letting the mixer cream it for me instead of me trying to break my wrist. I will say this, I like the Australian butter. I've had to work with lots of different kinds of butters, and this one is pretty good.
What butter is it?
This one is Mainland.
That's New Zealand.
Okay, I like the New Zealand butter. So now it's been creaming. If it was in the mixer, it would just be a minute or two. It takes me a little longer this way. Then I have 1 cup of packed brown sugar. You can use light or dark. Dark gives you a little different taste than light, but not by a lot. Then I add the cocoa, which is a half a cup of fine Dutch cocoa. It should be obviously baking cocoa, but it's very, very powdery. And then all the little things. So we've got a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of, or no, a quarter of a teaspoon of espresso powder, or very finely ground, very rich coffee. So the richest that you can find. I buy the little one. It's funny. I buy these little tubes of coffee from Starbucks. I never use them for anything else except for cooking, and it works really well for that. Then I have a half a teaspoon of sea salt. My butter was salted, so I'm not going to use the full half a teaspoon. If I use unsalted butter, I use the entire teaspoon. And then the secret ingredient is a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now, I know that makes people nervous, but I tell you now, do it. Don't be afraid, and don't cut it from the quarter teaspoon. If you want to go stronger than that at a later date, you can, but I don't recommend going less than that because then you don't get that small kick. It's not too hot. There's a lot of concern when people read about that. They're just like, wait a minute, cayenne pepper in my cookie, I don't want to do that. It can be done. And people like a little more than that. Don't use ancho chili powder. That is too hot. And of course, the black pepper doesn't have the same depth. So this is cayenne, ground cayenne pepper. And it is just the tiniest bit, I promise. And now I'm creaming again. This is where I had delusions that I would ask Sean and Bubba to do it for me because I really don't like doing this part by hand. But they're just looking at me like, no way. Oh, he's watching someone cook. He can't do this. So the hardest part about creaming by hand, of course, is getting all those little powdery flakes. And I always go for a certain color. I don't know if you can see. Is it showing?
Yes, it's showing.
Okay. That I try to get the butter color to go away. It's a beautiful, rich, dark chocolate right now. And I'm just trying to get all of that powder up. The Dutch cocoa is so fine that it just wants to sort of float away. This right now looks like a ganache, and if I were to stop here, it would make fabulous truffles. All right. So in the past, we have taken this and scooped them into little balls and dipped them in chocolate and made truffles. Because I started making the cookies and we discovered we didn't have flour.
I've got a question from the audience.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be easier with a mixer? I'm just responding to the question.
I'm guessing that was Bubba because he's chortling.
Oh, I cracked myself up.
All right. My KitchenAid mixer is dying. It has had 20 years in 10 different countries and it's tired. It's done that. It's done that. They rebuilt it now twice here.
Really?
Yep.
You've had mine 30 years and it hasn't been touched.
Yeah, but it's gone through some questionable power places, brown power and not good regulation.
Yeah, no, not good.
Okay, so really nice smooth chocolate. Said yes, it would have been easier with a mixer. Okay, so now
it gets
even harder.
And we start
putting in the flour.
There's a hand mixer in 320. Do you want the hand mixer?
Stop it.
There is, seriously. Christine's just told me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Do you want me to go fetch it?
No.
Right now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I offered. She said no. If she whinges again, it's her fault.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I'm doing it so that I can whinge. Hello.
Okay, his question is that plain flour?
Yes,
This is just an all-purpose regular flour. I've done it with GF flour, and I've done it with very, very fine cake flour as well.
Thank you.
These cookies, sometimes I'll make them, and then after they're cooled, I'll dip them half in hot chocolate to harden up, and so they're fancy Christmas cookies.
Sometimes
I'll truffleize them.
How do you truffleize somebody, and how do you use truffle as a verb?
I'm American, mix stuff up.
Christine sends a message saying, use your hands, Sarah.
Use my hands. That's a good idea.
Easier.
Bad idea. I'd be messy. I'm trying to be all sanitary.
I have a towel somewhere.
This is a nice kitchen, though. It's a cook in.
Anyone told us she's not supposed to cook any big food?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and. You know they can hear you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to tell you, you guys need to come do this at the church kitchen so that you can get all the editorializing that goes with it. Going for the hands.
Go for it, Sara.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Much easier.
All right. So then the last ingredient is the chocolate chips. I use these Nestle's Baker's Choice ones that I found, and I like dark chocolate.
Only boycotting Nestle?
Yeah,
Sorry, bits, chocolate bits. My kids like it when I use the semi-sweets. If you use the fancy ones like Godiva's or the Lindt ones, they're too melty. These ones don't melt as well.
I'm making up a lot of words today. Truffleize and melty.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I like making bread, is because it gets to get messy. So once again, the whole point of this part is to try to get all the flour bits up off the bottom. All right, so now we've got a nice cookie dough. And this would actually make a fabulous cheesecake.
Oh, yum.
Oh.
Oh, yum.
Could handle that.
cookie.
All right, I'm gonna go wash my hands.
Yep, this is great TV.
Some kind of sound.
I have my little cookie press, and it can have different types of shapes.
Yeah.
And my cookie.
That's just an ice cream scoop.
I think Bev's got a question.
I was going to say that looked like a nice
I
place.
used to have a super duper skipper when we had a dog.
What's your question, Bev?
I wanted to know what brand of chocolate pieces she used. She said something about chocolate pieces.
Nestle.
There you go. Nestle Baker's Choice chocolate bits. I like the dark chocolate. You can use whichever one you like best.
Cadbury are good too.
Cadbury are good too.
Okay. They don't melt.
Cadbury.
They're not melting?
Owned by Nestle, aren't they?
pretty clever. Using an ice cream scoop. I'd never thought of that.
Mm.
Excellent.
Yeah, I use that.
Yeah.
You preheated the oven?
Yes. 175 degrees Celsius.
Fan force?
Okay.
200? No, 350.
Any advance? 350? Can I get it 400?
I don't pay attention anymore. I just sort of turn it down to the bottom.
Do the biscuits spread? Or are they a little bit?
All right. Then I flatten my cookies.
Sarah, is it 375 fan force?
Which that gets stuck in the cookie.
Ah.
Oh,
That's it again, Chris.
Is it 375 fan forced or just
oh, very good.
the old oven?
Is it 375 fan force? Oh.
Just regular oven. Just regular oven. Dark chocolates are harder to cook, so I don't like to have the fan because then I lose track of the time.
I am muted.
So fan forced 175.
I used to be in here.
Regular, not fan force.
Not fan forced.
165 then.
5 fan force, yeah. Yeah, take 10 off.
Yeah.
So you see how it does the little shape?
Yeah.
And they're adorable.
Yeah, that's cute.
This is just regular dusting sugar, caster sugar.
Icing sugar.
Yep. I always do just a smidget on the top when that's not a made up word, when I bake them. And then I finish dusting at the end with more so that it gets both melted into it and then dusted over the top of it. So now it magically goes in the oven.
Do you sift the flour?
I do not.
Thank you.
And now pretend that it has been 12 to 14 minutes later. And you have
Ah.
Very nice.
Mexican hot chocolate cookies. Bubba, could you take a taste for me? So Bubba's going to taste test for me.
He's gone in the rapture.
So, any questions?
Well, that was it. That was good.
Another way of doing it.
Yeah. What's the verdict, Bubba?
Bubba, what's the verdict? They want to know, not me.
15 out of 10.
15 out of 10.
Oh, no, I don't know. Behind.
What's the spice in there?
I've got cayenne, cinnamon, espresso, and a little bit of salt.
They work together so well.
Okay, I'm taking you off spotlight.
Okay. Thank you.
Sarah
No, that was
sometimes she drops dips them in chocolate.
Go ahead, Beth.
Do you say you sometimes dip them in chocolate?
Sometimes what I'll do is after they are completely cool, I'll dip them in a melted chocolate.
Uh-huh.
If you do a white chocolate, it looks really fancy.
I don't think so.
Or an eye mask. What are you doing with an iPad, Todd?
I've got a question.
Yes, Chris.
If you don't have your fancy little biscuit press, you can just use a fork just to squash them down, can't you?
Yes, you can also use the bottom of a cup. Most cups have a sort of a ridged bottom.
Yep.
So like when I have my coffee press or my press, you could just use the bottom of that and you dip it in the sugar and press.
Yep, got it.
oh, that's good.
I'm always surprised at what works in terms of being able to make up for something you don't have in terms of a tool.
Well, I was
Okay.
fascinated with the ice cream scoop. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, this is actual. They say it's a cookie scoop, but we use it for all kinds of things.
Yeah, excellent.
I tell you what, the mixture comes out better than ice cream.
It looks so good too.
So I stopped recording as well.
Might as
You can
well.
stop recording. You should have stopped recording.
Oh, okay, well, you have to edit a bit, don't you?
You put
I
something like
always have to. This is my
strawberries
job,
on
is
top.
editing.